This week on Jaunts, we found flights to Tenerife for just £26 each. If it was Tenerife, the bargain we hoped for.
Join us as we share some of our favourite moments from this popular all-year-round destination, and we'll reveal what our 14-day trip really cost.
Did the bargains continue, or did the costs soon add up?
We've just spent 2 weeks in Tenerife and now we're back at home here in Forres. But how much did that 2-week holiday cost us?
We're going to break down all the costs, starting from the flights, accommodation, transfers, food and drink, entertainment, and all the small bits that you just forget about.
Some of these prices will surprise you.
Some in a good way.
And some not so much. Today we're breaking down exactly what our holiday costs, so keep watching to find out how much we spent in 2 weeks in Tenerife. Now we got a flight on Jet2 to Tenerife for £26, but James, what do you think the catch is?
There must be some catch because that sounds far too good. Let's see if we get on the plane and let's see what happens at the other end. That's us here, Tenerife.
We booked flights for £26 flying from Edinburgh to Tenerife. At £26, when we saw them, we just didn't really consider the consequences and just thought, book it, we've got the time off, why not go ahead with it?
What could go wrong? What could go wrong, Nicola?
Famous last words. But that was exactly what we thought when we booked them. So we booked a £26 flight, £26 each flight, and then thought, we'll worry about accommodation and we'll worry about getting home later.
But then we thought, what if the flights go up and we end up overpaying for flights? So sitting at the airport on the way out to Tenerife, we decided to book the flights home, which meant we had 14 nights in Tenerife. We did get bargain flights home as well, £45 each, which was brilliant as well, from Tenerife to Edinburgh.
So the total for our flights was £142. That's flying with Jet2, so luggage is included, so there were any unexpected surprises there. Really great price for flights.
Fantastic. Loving this already.
And that's where the bargain ended, because accommodation costs really stung us.
We found it really difficult to get any low-cost accommodation. We found it difficult to get any accommodation. I was starting to think, we've got these flights, but we've got nothing else. So starting off at the Panoramica Heights, £540 for 4 nights. So that was the best scenario. That was definitely the cheapest. And it was a decent hotel, swimming pool, room only. And then trying to get anything else under that, it wasn't happening. So we ended up in an Airbnb. Airbnbs in Tenerife are certainly not cheap, and we weren't finding anything else cheaper anywhere else either. So we paid for the first Airbnb in Los Cristianos £677, and that was for 4 nights, and that was just a 1-bedroom with a couch and a living room, which I think was quite excessive for what we got. Nice enough, but it wasn't anything startling. And then Costa Deje, 6 nights, slightly cheaper, £783. Now that was 6 nights, 2-bedroom apartment, and that worked out really well. Well, we were in Tenerife, our 2 sons came out to see us at separate times. One came to Los Cristianos, one came to Deje. Now certainly when Mark came out, he certainly had a much nicer stay, had his own bedroom. He felt like the lord of the manor. But Thomas, when he was out, was on that sofa bed in a very small living room. So it certainly at no stage felt £2,000 worth of accommodation. It all felt quite budget, and that's a bit disappointing.
That was expensive for a 14-night holiday. So while we got the bargain in the flights, when you start adding that up together, you think we might have been cheaper just buying a package.
So now we get to food and drink. In the food and drink category, it's quite self-explanatory. It's what we spend going out for dinner or what we spend going out for drinks.
Tenerife is famous for cheap eats, but did it end up being that cheap when we got there?
I would say there's a good amount of cheap eats in Tenerife. Adeje had plenty along the coast, Las Americas, and then into Los Cristianos. There was definitely options for cheap eats, but you don't always want cheap eats. You want to eat well as well, and you want to go to some nice places. So we did find a big variance from £10 for main course right up to the early £20 for a main course, or €20 I should say.
Yeah, I would say the cheapest place we ate was probably the Loch Ness.
Loch Ness and Adeje.
I mean, it's not like round here, and I don't really know why it's called the Loch Ness, but anyway, we went for it and it was pretty nice. The food was decent quality. You could get a 3-course meal for about €12.
Yep.
So pretty good. And they've left us a bottle. I'm not sure that's a good thing. Maybe my no beer for the year might end early. There's always next year. Our most expensive place we ate was along in Los Cristianos. We had a great recommendation from Scotsman Kevin, so we went there. Tandoori hut, really great food, but also one of the priciest meals that we had during that 14-day trip.
And when you come from round about Glasgow, as we do, you know what a good curry tastes like. And even though it was a great recommendation, it still was okay.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. So including again drinks really varied. I was not drinking, so I was having water.
Wait a minute.
What a lovely experience this is. Just sitting, the house music, the view, everything about it is perfect. Crazy. Water was costing around €3, but how much was the beer costing?
Most places a beer was €2, and we even found beers for €1.50 for San Miguel. You'll see that in our pub golf video. €1.50. It's probably one of the best pints I had out in Tenerife, to be fair. But you could go anywhere from €1.50, the average €2 to get yourself to an Irish bar, and you're paying €5–6. Or if you want to get yourself into a beach bar, €7–8. So it depends where you go, it depends your choices, but if you want to do it on a budget, you can certainly get your pints in the budget.
But not your water. You can't get a drink of water on the budget. I've got to say, that irked me. It really did irk me.
Seems to be a bit of a theme for you, Nicola. I think you need to get off no beer for a year and get yourself onto the beers again. That will save us some money. yeah, it doesn't seem like the usual experience, does it? Total for our food and drink for a fortnight was £1,824. That was quite steep. That was quite steep. 14 nights, considering that wasn't accommodation included. That was just food and drink. And I don't think we meant mental either. I don't. I think it was the odd night when I was out with Mark and Thomas. Nicola was busy doing a bit of editing. It was a choice, to be fair. Or did you just have enough of us?
Yeah, I think, I'd had enough. So I just thought, I used the excuse of editing. And anyone who knows me knows that I don't really like editing, but it seemed like a better scenario than going out drinking when you're not drinking.
Very true, and it was only one night at the karaoke bar. That was enough to put you off. It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I mean, only a couple of songs as well, but anyway, everybody else liked it. I think it was just your problem. Sounds like your problem, Nicola.
Okay, I don't think I had a problem with it, but fine, be like that. But I think at 1,824, I think that is quite pricey. You know, that's over £100 a day for 2 or 3 people, you know, kind of averaging it out, and I think that's quite pricey. Breakfasts, you could get, you know, a full Scottish breakfast for €5, €6.
Yeah. And a decent breakfast to that, including a coffee or a tea. Or, if you're up for it, a pint.
So I think it's fair to say that what we saw were lots of good prices, but yet we still ended up spending quite a lot. So I don't exactly know where that happened. So £1,824, where we're seeing all these bargain breakfasts, bargain beers. I don't really know how we managed to spend as much as that, but we did.
I think I know what it was.
What?
It was your water. That was the issue.
Well, that's annoying. Of course, Tenerife is way more than just a food and drink, way more than just the cheap eats, and we had a great time there. We spent a considerable amount of time and money on doing some activities and entertainment.
We went to Santa Cruz for the day. Now you'll see that in one of our other videos. Was it worth going to Santa Cruz? I'd say probably great value actually. £32 on the bus for 3 of us to Santa Cruz.
We were still taking care of ourselves, and again we went to the gym at £14. That seemed okay.
And one of the best value days out was in Monkey Park, Tenerife. £31 for 3 of us to the Monkey Park. That was a cracking day. And we just did that as we were leaving Tenerife to head to the airport. But that was amazing.
One of my favourite days out was when we went to Siam Park. That was better than I expected. That is TripAdvisor top water park in the world, according to TripAdvisor. Now, I wouldn't go that far, but it was very good. And if you're interested, you can see our video just here. For 3 of us, that cost £116.
So we went go-karting Tenerife. I'm never one that likes go-karting, but do you know, we had a cracking day.
There was one point I felt a bit like Brad Pitt. I don't know if you've seen that film that he was in recently. Hadn't expected to like it, loved it, but maybe that's just a Brad Pitt thing.
£100 for 3 of us. Felt like a professional. Probably drove like driving Miss Daisy.
So the total for entertainment and activities was £293. And I'm beginning to see a pattern here, that when we go places, the activities are usually reasonable value. And actually, when you consider what you're getting, the joy you're getting for your money, I think activities are definitely the way to go.
They absolutely are.
I mean, that's cheap as chips.
That's cheap as chips.
When you compare that to what we spent in food and drink.
It was actually brilliant.
I think the next time we go anywhere, we should just fast.
Just fast and just activities.
First you do it everything.
Yes.
Then I will tell you when you.
So we've got Teddy and the island trip, we've got a boat trip, we've got Siam Park, and we've got stargazing.
For €149 each. I can't go wrong with that. That is grand. That makes me smile. I love doing excursions. And I think if you watch our videos from last year in Turkey, we went many excursions. But this feels really good value as well. Unexpected, but brilliant. Definitely way ahead. But that was good value. And that's the type of stuff you come home and it gives you great memories and you think that was the best parts of the holiday. I never look back at a holiday and think, over £1,800, that food and drink was amazing and I'm so glad I did it.
Nah.
That's definitely a reflection for the future. And I think where we probably did go wrong this time, and there was no excuse for it. In all 3 accommodations, we had a kitchen. So we should have done a better job with that. But you are seduced by Tenerife's good value. Now, our final category is transport, how we got about the island. And we did it all the time by taxis, because we didn't have transfers booked with Jet2, because all we booked was a Jet2 flight. So we taxied from the airport to Costa Deje and then back again. And because we were staying in the Panoramica Heights, we did, after a few beers, have to get a taxi back up the hill and so on and so on. So £142 in taxis, and that did add quite a bit onto the holiday as well. We were actually quite good the first couple of days as well. You'll see a couple of videos as we were like shepherds heading up the hill to our apartment. Even the cars have to take a break on the way up this hill. That's how bad it is. I've been some big walks this year, many hills, but I don't know if a day in the sauce and then walking up afterwards is a good idea. Nikki, surely I just paid €5 for a taxi.
James, in the Jordan Jaunts budget, are you having a laugh?
Nikki, I tell you. But once the boys came out, that stopped, and it was taxi time. So £142. That was just a cost that we probably didn't plan for.
We didn't plan, I mean, we didn't plan the whole thing, to be honest, but we definitely didn't plan for that. And it goes back to some of the things that we need to consider going forward. You're thinking you're getting a bargain, you're seeing these cheap flights and thinking, fantastic, let's just go. But is it really a bargain? You have to pay more for your accommodation. Your accommodation might be in a less convenient place, so then you've got to pay for taxis. So sometimes where you're saving in one hand, you're really overpaying in the other.
And I think we did that the whole time in Tenerife. I've certainly not come away from Tenerife looking at these numbers thinking, what a bargain holiday. I'm thinking probably the most I've spent anywhere in a long time. And would I mind spending that money in a premium holiday? No, but it wasn't a premium holiday, it was quite a basic holiday. And everywhere we stayed was quite basic, so a bit disappointing.
If you're new here, we're James and Nicola, and we are travelling the world on a budget.
And we're just visiting this planet once.
So we want to see as much as we can, but make our money last so that we don't have to head right back to work. Now, if you're interested in seeing content like this, where we share honestly our opinions of places and the cost of it, then please subscribe.
And it's free. There's not many things in this world are free, and certainly there was nothing free in Tenerife. So, it's free to subscribe to Jordan Jaunts. So let's do a recap. Flights, £142.
Accommodation was a biggie at £2,000.
Entertainment, £293.
Food and drink cost us £1,824.
I understand why you took a wee while to get there, Nicola, because
Yeah.
that was a big price tag.
Big price tag, you're right.
In travel, £142, and that was just taxis. So, the total that we spent in Tenerife for 14 nights, including everything, was £4,401.
That actually hurts my ears to hear that.
Now, did that break the bank or make us cry? I think probably both.
Yeah.
That was not good value at all. So, I'm hoping we make massive money in these YouTube videos. Because we need to. That was not a bargain destination. Not at all. So that works out at £314 a night. That's a sore one.
Yeah. That was too much for the holiday it was. It was a good holiday, but it wasn't an out of this world holiday. It wasn't an exclusive or luxury holiday. It was good.
I know. Can I say it again? £314 a night. It sounds worse than the 4,401.
Does it?
I think so. I mean, you just think about a day and that's what you spent in a day. It just feels there's no good value there. And actually, it's not as though it's somewhere that was expensive for everything, because that's not the case with Tenerife. It was just very expensive for accommodation.
Yeah, I do know what you mean. Like £314, you're like, that's how much it would cost to come to Scotland, because that's expensive this time of year. Or that's how much it would cost to go to Iceland or the Scandinavia.
Yep.
Not Tenerife.
Not Tenerife.
Despite that unhealthy price tag, I did really like Tenerife, and we will go back.
But I think the learning is we should have not stopped at the flight price. We should have expanded our search with Jet2 and seen what Jet2 could offer us in a full package holiday. But we didn't, but we will next time. Look for a package holiday, because I think from our experience we have been booking as we go, booking accommodation and booking it all separately, but I'm not convinced that's the way ahead. And I think it depends the time of year and it depends where your destination is. So it's definitely a big learning for us. And if we come out in the end and still spent the same, but we stayed in a 5-star resort, then I'd be happy with that. But we didn't. It was a budget holiday with a big price tag.
So that concludes our Tenerife series. We have concluded it here at home in Forres, but I think I could do with a wee bit more sunshine.
I think we could. Next time you'll see us, we'll be in Siena, Italy. So join us next time on Jaunts.
Bye for now.
Bye.